Join my army of the dead.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another build guide video for the Necromancer. In this build guide, I'm going to start with the skill tree so you can see my skills, and then we'll go to the Book of Dead, and then you can go to my items, and then you'll understand why I went with the items I went with. Starting off with the skill tree, we go with Decompose. These three here, that's just prerequisite to get to this node. We don't use any core skills, so we put 3 into Hued Flesh. This doubles our chance to spawn corpses against bosses. Coming down here, you want to max out Skeletal Warrior Mastery, Grim Harvest, Fueled by Death. Also, you want to get Corpse Explosion. We're using the Blight, the Darkness Corpse Explosion for the shadow damage. It just takes up the whole screen, and it puts Shadow Blight on everybody. Our defensive skill, we're using Blood Mist. I have this enhanced Blood Mist for when I'm PvPing. Right when I'm playing versus monsters, this is kind of just useless. But the Blood Mist in itself is really what we're after. 3 seconds of immunity, can't beat it. Coming down to our curses, we have Amplify Damage maxed out. Also, I have 3 in my amulet to boost the increased damage to cursed enemies. We're using Decrepify. Coming down here, we're coming down to the 15% chance to reduce your active cooldowns. This is absolutely a must for my build. 1 damage reduction and cooldown reduction, you can't beat it. We have Death's Embrace, take 6%. Enemies take 6% more damage and deal 9% less damage to you. Damage reduction and a boost to your damage, can't beat it. Skeletal Mage Mastery, that's a big bulk of our damage. The big 115,000, that's from the Skeletal Mage. Coming down, we use Corpse Tendrils with the Vulnerable Tendrils. They allow people to be vulnerable for 3 seconds. This is so good for grouping up the enemies, because we do a lot of AoE, so group up the enemies and just blow them to smithereens. Necrotic Carapace. When corpse is formed from your skeletal skills or minions, fortify for 6% of your base life. All of our minions except our mages will be fortifying us, so we're just constantly fortified. Golem Mastery, want to max that out. He's a big supplier of corpses as well. Come down to Bond Essence, Death's Defense, Inspiring Leader, and Hellbent Commander. Max all of these out. These are a must. Rounding out with our passive, we go with Shadow Blight. The enemies take 10% bonus damage when they're infected with Shadow Blight. I prefer this over just the 30% bonus attack speed, because as soon as you're hit, you lose it. So I think the 10% when you're covering the entire screen with Shadow Blight, definitely worth it. Going to our Skeletal Warriors now, we use the Reapers. Reapers have 15% chance to carve flesh off enemies, forming a corpse. Another way of getting corpses. Going to Skeletal Mages, we're using the Cold Mages. Enemies who are frozen by or damaged while frozen by Cold Mages are made vulnerable for 4 seconds. So you'll see our mages are doing a lot of damage, a lot of vulnerable damage, and making enemies vulnerable. That's really important. Going to our Golem, each time your Bone Golem takes 20% of its max life as damage, it sheds a corpse. We're using this because, especially PvP scenarios or scenarios where you just don't have minions, you throw him in, he takes 20% of his life. Next thing you know, you have corpses, and between that and your Reapers, you have minions spawning really quickly. Going to the gear, last but not least, we are using the Skeletal Mage imprint. Every 10 seconds, your Skeletal Mages cast a Blizzard for 2100 damage. This continually kills enemies for 8 seconds, or 8% over 6 seconds. This synergizes well with our our boots and our skeletal mages because they're going to be making people vulnerable. Coming back to our armor now, we have increased skeletal warriors by 2. It's a decent roll. We have flat damage, summoning skill damage, fortified generation, and cold damage. A lot of damage coming out of our chest here. Going to our unique gloves, Howl from Below. I like these with Corpse Explosion. I think it's an absolute must. Instead of detonating immediately, Corpse Explosion summons a volatile skeleton that charges a random enemy and explodes. Corpse Explosion is increased by 40% damage. This is a must if you're trying to do any kind of PvP with this build, because people are just going to stay away from the dead bodies, and this makes you can't. Coming down to our pants, this is just all defensive. I try to roll. Max minion life is a must. Keep your minions alive. I have 4 ranks of Corpse Explosion, which is huge for our build. 10% total armor. That's a huge damage reduction right there. 38% damage reduction while injured. So the lower I get, the harder I am to kill. And we have, of course, we have the imprint. Damaging elite grants you a barrier absorbing 3026 damage up to 10 seconds. This is a must for PvP, and I think it's great for keeping alive in PvM as well. Our boots, I haven't found these uniques again, so I've been using the ones that I've found so long ago. Using this for the passive, you leave behind a trail of frost that chills enemies. You deal 7% increased damage to chilled enemies. This is why I'm using cold mages, because when they chill an enemy, or I chill an enemy by walking by them, they take a flat 7% damage increase. Our weapon is the Black River, another Corpse Explosion item. Corpse Explosion consumes up to 4 additional corpses around the initial corpse, dealing 128% increased damage, and with 24% larger radius per additional corpse. So you'll see this just suck up all the corpses around whomever I'm battling, and the entire map just goes black with darkness. And coming back to all of our passives, really nice. Our offhand, just found this today. We have crit chance, crowd control duration, damage direction while fortified, and max minion life, and that's a max roll minion life. And with the imprint of the increased critical chance for 6 seconds when you cast Corpse Tendrils, and then you get the bonus critical strike damage. All the crit strikes you see are coming from mages, skeletal warriors, and the golem. I cannot crit strike anything with dot damage. Coming to our rings and jewelry now. Your skeletons gain increased damage while alive up to 27% after 10 seconds. Our minions are staying alive quite a long time, so they're going to be having this bonus up all the time. This is quite a good rolled ring. We have crit chance, damage to close enemies, maximum minion life, and fortified generation. This is big damage for your minions. Unfortunately, it's the only big damage multiplier for minions. We need more, Blizzard. We need more. But this is an absolute must. If you're running minions, while you have 7 or more minions, you gain lucky hit, up to 10% chance to empower all of your minions, causing the next attack from each explode for 14,905 damage. This is an explosion, so this hits an AoE, and it takes all your multipliers and puts it together. So that's how we're getting 115,000 crit strike with our mages. Absolute must for this build. And then at our amulet slot, we have your maximum number of mages increased by 3. I like it in this slot because an extra mage means an extra 115,000 crit strike, plus an extra cast of the Blizzard, plus, you know, just an extra minion just doing damage. So that's why I prefer it in this slot over any other. All right, coming to our Paragon board, we come up the right side here, grab the rare node, just flat 20% damage. The glyph we're using right here is the buff to skeletal mages. This is currently only level 13, I believe. Once I get it to 15, this is just really gonna amplify the mage's damage quite a lot. I came up the left side here to grab more 20% damage. This was very early on. I came back eventually to get the armor and the other intelligence node here. Coming into at earlier stages, I came to the left because my minions were struggling to stay alive. So I came over here, got armor clad, then worked up here and got the cult leader legendary node. After that, I came around to the right side here, got infused warrior to boost their skeletal warriors just a little bit. Came up here, got the puppeteer node. Really just one of the best nodes for minions, so I got all the nodes around it. Came over here, this boosts your skeletal mage damage. This is a must for our build. The skeletal mages, I would say, is about half of your damage. After you get the skeletal mage, then you want to come up here, grab the next glyph slot. I use skeletal warriors damage. This one, you can exchange it. You can run, you know, like the fortify glyph node that I'm running right here. You can run that one if you're struggling to stay alive. But I think that this one is good to keep your skeletal warriors alive as well. Coming over here, we got custody, just flat 20% damage reduction for your minions. Absolutely huge to keep them alive. Come over here, we have overlord, 20% minion damage. Just, you know, mini damage, mini damage, mini damage. It's what you want to continue to stack. Going on to our next Paragon board, we go with the Flesh Eater. This is consuming a corpse grants 40% increased damage. We're constantly consuming corpses. This is constantly proc. You always have 40% increased damage. I came up here, got that first because that's the way our build was going. Then I came over here, grabbed damage to elites because damage to elites equals damage to other players as well. Coming up, then we grabbed our other glyph socket, and I'm using the fortify glyph. You gain up to 10% damage reduction the more fortify you have. Constantly have fortify thanks to our minions, and this keeps us very healthy and adds a little bit more damage to our build as well. Coming over here, this is the last thing I've just got before going on to the next board. Adds critical strike damage because you'll see our minions are doing all the crit strike damage, so want to boost their damage up as high as possible. Coming over here, we're about to go to our next board, and honestly, I haven't even decided yet. I'm not looking at the legendary nodes for the next one. I'm looking more for these ones here, you know, looking for more damage while fortified generation. That one right there would be a good one for us. But as of right now, I'm level 78, and that's our Paragon board. All right, there you have it. There is my Corpse Explosion summoning build. This build's good, really good for PvM. I have played around with it in PvP. At the lower levels, this one really accelerates because the shadow resistance isn't as high. When you're PvPing with this build, I would suggest going to your abilities, swapping out the Blighted Corpse Explosion for regular Corpse Explosion. That way you have more burst damage during your PvP battles instead of just the dot damage, because it's hard to get people to just sit in the dot. But as you can see, you can get the dot damage up to like 30,000-40,000 per tick. And then on top of that, with the minions, this build is going to really excel for the minions. I think it's probably the top mini build. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like and think about subscribing. I post every 2 days Diablo content, and if you enjoy it, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.